Well, hey guys, welcome back to Mentor Us. Justin and Trisha with you, as well as our three wild and crazy young men. And I'll introduce them in just a second. But we're so glad you guys have joined us for this month's Mentor Us. We've been talking over the last month just about this whole concept of parenting with purpose. And each of the weeks, honestly, Trish and I are a work in progress, as you guys will be able to see here in just a few minutes. But we've talked about four different concepts over the last month, and the first one that we kind of rolled out is that our impact and our influence will be with our kids will be an overflow of our relationship with God. And one of the things that Trish and I have learned sometimes the hard way is you can't lead people beyond the point that you're at spiritually. And so that's kind of how we opened up the month. And then the next week we talked about the greatest call that we have after loving our spouse well is leading our kids spiritually. And then 2 weeks ago, we talked about this whole concept that I picked up years ago from Focus on the Family, where I heard James Dobson say one time that rules without relationship always leads to rebellion. And maybe you grew up in a home where there was a lot of rules but very little relationship, and so you went through a rebellious time. And so Trish and I have always tried to maintain that balance of being able to build a relationship while at the same time enforcing some rules. And then last week, we talked about that the question isn't whether or not we're going to leave a legacy with our kids. We will leave a legacy, but the type of legacy that we leave with our kids is more about our choices than it is our intentions. It doesn't matter how good intentions we have as parents. It's our choices that's going to determine the type of legacy that we live. And each of us, Trish and I, our kids, you guys, your kids, we're all products of the good choices that our parents made, as well as the poor choices. And so if we can help one another make stronger and better choices as parents and not just have good intentions, then we're going to leave stronger legacies with our kids. So Trish,
tonight we're just going to talk about all the good things we've done as parents. No, not really, but
we argued with our kids right before we turned on the videotape.
No, we didn't. But before we get started, we thought we'd allow each of our boys to introduce themselves. So if you can tell them your name and how old you are. Go ahead, Betty. Say it loud.
My name's Isaiah and I'm 9.
Hi, I'm Elijah and I'm 13.
And I'm Micah and I'm 16.
All right, there you have it.
And Trish, we have read books on how to raise infants. We've read books on how to deal with preteen issues. We experienced something this past week that we were not prepared for emotionally. Why don't you tell everybody kind of what we've gone through, kind of this stage of parenting over the last week or so?
So on Friday, Micah, our oldest, turned 16. And I said to a couple of the ladies at church this weekend that I was really angry at every mother or father that has a child who's driving, because nobody prepared me for how emotional this Friday would be. But Micah and I got up early and he went and took his driver's test and passed it, aced it. And then we all decided to go to lunch together, which is very normal. But as as Micah and I were driving to meet the rest of the crew for lunch, Justin says, well, I'll just bring Micah's car and he can take it when we're done with lunch. And I was like, I don't think so. And he's like, no, this is really going to happen. And so after lunch, Micah and the other two boys got in the car and they drove off. And I literally thought I was going to have a heart attack. But I survived, and you survived.
Yeah.
We may have cried once or twice.
It's been a pretty emotional week.
But it's just a good example for us that no matter what stage of life you are in with your kids, that you always have an opportunity to parent, well or bad. And Micah could even tell through the lunch that we were struggling a little bit. He said a couple times, what was funny is I was really trying not to cry, but he kept looking at Justin. He's like, are you crying, Dad? And I was like, like he's crying. But anyway, so that was just kind of leading into, even though our children are, much older now, we're still parenting. We're still in the throes of learning things for the first time.
Yeah, and the reality is we're not just raising boys. You're not just raising boys or girls, depending on what gender your kids are. We're raising young men. We're raising future husbands. We're raising future fathers. We're raising future employees. We're raising future missionaries. So there's just an aspect that we're always moving to a new stage, and I wish that we could freeze time, and I wish that these guys weren't getting older, but they are, and every day they teach us something new. So what we want to do is, this is kind of an informal peek into our lives, and we had not scripted this at all. I gave them I gave the boys a few questions before we started the videotape, just of what I might ask them. So we're just going to open it up, and I just kind of want to talk to you guys, or have you guys talk to us. This could be really bad. You could really see what sucky parents we are. But we've been talking about this month, just this whole idea of rules without a relationship. Could you guys just talk about some of the ways that you feel like Mom and I try to build a relationship with you guys?
All right, I guess I'm starting. Well, I think one of the ways that Dad personally does is he usually takes me and Elijah out to breakfast on Fridays during the school year, and we usually go through like a Bible study or a book or something, and that's one way that like we like build a relationship a lot, and like we're able to talk not just about the Bible study, but like like whatever's going on at school that week, or just anything personal going on in our lives. It's like a really good way to open up to each other, and we get to do it every Friday, so it's a really good weekly thing that we do.
Okay, I'll go next. For me, my dad and also my mom, like, they just try to connect with me on a deeper level. So even though they don't want like some of the stuff I do, like for example, we went to the Parthenon because I'm like a history freak. But my dad and the other two boys went with us, and they were kind of out of it, but I was like so in it. But my dad just tried to connect with me through that, and that's how he kind of tries to build a relationship with me, just trying to get deeper with me and see what I like and see what I enjoy.
The thing that my dad did to me was take me out to Chick-fil-A every Wednesday while they're at youth group at our church.
That's cool. We sit in the same spot every week, don't we? Elijah, I want to go back to what you just said, because I didn't know about the Parthenon. I didn't know, like I was messing up as a dad, and you and I and Mom had an experience in a counseling session where you brought that up, that I have a natural connection with these guys through basketball, but you were feeling disconnected. And the counselor said, what can your dad do to help you feel connected? And you said,
Go to the Parthenon.
go to the Parthenon. And so I think that, sometimes as parents we don't realize the little things that we can do that help us connect with our kids. The pace of my life is so fast, I could have gone another 2 years and never known that going to the Parthenon for 2 hours was going to be a way to connect with Elijah. But we were feeling like, Trish and I were feeling like we weren't firing on all cylinders. We didn't have all the answers in some of the ways that we were parenting, especially Elijah. And so the three of us started going to counseling together. We just got some help. We got an outside voice. We got a different perspective, and that outside voice and different perspective really helped bridge that gap between us in a way that's been really healthy.
I think another part of our relationship that means a lot to all of us, that we talk, our boys know our story. They have to unpack their story the older they get, and they'll have to unpack it again when they eventually get married and kind of understand our story in a whole other level. But one of the things that we talk about now is being truth tellers. And it's not just for the boys, but how Justin and I often have to be truth tellers. In fact, we had something happen recently that affected me greatly, and the boys witnessed it, and it was something I was very emotional about, and I just told them that I just needed them to give me time and space, that I needed to talk to Justin first, and they respected that, but they knew something was wrong. And they were stressed, but they knew that eventually I would tell them at the right time. And later on that evening, we sat down as a family, and we just talked about, hey, this is what happened. It really affected my heart. Dad and I have talked about it, and we're good. And what seems like a small thing meant a lot to my boys, because they know that they're going to know the truth of situations. It doesn't mean that they have to know details, but that's something that we've kind of journeyed together. I think each of us, even from 9 to 16, of really being a family that is a truth teller. So if there's like, if you could think of one thing how that maybe has changed how you have, you know, you're in elementary, you're in middle school, and you're in high school, has it been easier to be a truth teller because that's what we do in our home, or do you think it's still hard to tell the truth of when you mess up and when you need help?
Isaiah, what do you think? Do you think it's easy to tell the truth because Mom and I tell the truth, or do you feel like you have to hide the truth?
Probably try to hide the truth.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just not easy to tell the truth. Yeah. Like that time that you peed outside and then tell us about it.
Wow.
You really, I saw that coming.
That was 2 years ago.
You peed on a tree in school.
We've all learned that if you are going to pee outside, make sure your teacher's not looking. So. What about you, Lige?
I think for me, as a teenager, teenagers tend to get really secretive. Most do. And so for me, sometimes I think not lying is an easier route because it kind of hides less pain behind the truth. It kind of doesn't really cause pain. Lies can just kind of make everything better, put a kind of a cover story. It makes it seem better, but really there's still that type of pain, and it just kind of builds up inside, and ultimately just hurts you on the inside.
We've navigated both, right? We've navigated hiding, and then we've navigated telling the truth, and it hurts. Both of them hurt.
Yeah.
But
one frees, one kind of captivates.
That's good.
That's good.
That'll preach, my son.
PK.
Michael, what do you think?
Well, for me, you always hear like when kids get older that like they, especially like 16, 17, 18 is when they really start to like distance themselves from their parents. And so I know like one thing personally for me is like I'm able to come home like each night or whatever, and like even if something comes up, like we'll all like have a group discussion about it or something, we'll like all like talk about it. And the one thing that y'all always say is that you're not going to get in trouble if you tell the truth. There might be consequences, but like we're not going to be like mad at you. Like there might be consequences for your actions, but we're not going to love you any less or anything. So I think that like really helps when it comes to telling the truth, because like you know that like no matter what, we're all in this together, and so it makes it a lot easier to tell the truth with each other.
Yeah.
That's really good. I want to close with this because we're running out of time. I know we're kind of gone over our time probably for this month, but one of the things that we've been talking about over the last few weeks in Mentor Us is just this whole concept of making memories. And so one of the things that we try to do as a family is just really have concentrated time to make memories. So I just want to ask you guys just kind of what's some of your favorite memories that we've made on vacation or trips or here at the house, whatever. What are some of your favorite memories that you can think of?
And none of them can be about my cooking.
Nor about you imitating my laugh.
We should end with that.
Yes, I got this.
Michael, what do you think?
Well, as everyone knows, I just turned 16, and that's a big deal because like you get your license and stuff, but a bigger memory to me was the birthday before, my 15th birthday, when I had a basketball tournament down in Orlando, Florida, and me and Dad woke up. These two were at a church camp up in Michigan, and I had gone to this church camp every year since 5th grade. And so me and Dad, we had lost that night, and so we had the opportunity to go home the next day. And my dad was like, "Do you want to get up early and go?" And I was like, "Go home?" He was like, "No, to Michigan." And I was like, "Well, I don't know." And he was like, "No, let's do it." And I was like, "All right, let's do it." So we woke up at like 3 a.m. that morning and drove, 19 hours all the way up to Michigan and surprised these two. And that was like it was a really stressful trip because we lost air conditioning in Ohio. But at the same time,
and that's your car now. Happy birthday, son.
At the same time, though, it was a really great experience for me and my dad, and it's something that we'll remember forever for sure. So
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Budgie?
I'm still thinking there's a lot of them. But I think one of the biggest is like we went to this place called Turkey Run. It was a small campground. But when we went there, we just had a blast because even though we were getting bit by mosquitoes and it was kind of yeah, jank. But we went there and we just had a great time, just kind of bonding with one another and just kind of embracing nature with each other and acting like men.
I was not there.
Oh, yeah.
One of the things that was so funny, people were looking at me like I was redneck, which I pretty much am, but I hate being hot, I hate sweating, and so I had taken 3 fans and 2 extension cords, and we were tent camping, and I had fans set up all around the campfire, blowing on me on my chair because I wouldn't sweat. It was like 98 degrees. It was in July, so that's my memory, I guess. So, Isaiah, what do you think?
From us
Or just in general, just memory as a family.
Probably father-son camp, because if it was mother's son camp, then mom would never go on a zip line, so.
I went on the zip line, son. I just told you
That was it's like this compared to this. That zip line. So
I don't like heights.
We did go on a zip line at father-son camp, and it was epic.
Totally getting sold out here.
Yeah.
no.
I think probably one of my most recent favorite memories, and we'll kind of end with this, and just the whole point of family is messy. We mess up a lot. We apologize a lot, but I think when you have a relationship that at the end of the day, your kids know that you're for them, all the rest of that stuff will fall in place. And we went to Florida on vacation at the end of May, and my boys know that I like to take a picture, like a family picture, at the beach. I didn't grow up going on vacation, so
Neither of us
it's
did.
very special every time we do it. Like it feels like it'll be the last one. And so we were getting ready for dinner, and I was bent on this picture. Everybody was grouchy and didn't want to take the picture, and so we get out to the beach, and everyone is arguing with each other that I'm just like, fine, let's just be done. I don't want to do it. And
Someone may have had a meltdown on the beach.
So anyway, we get in the car. It's like so silent. I'm crying. Isaiah's crying. It's just awkward the whole time. But what was cool is by the time we arrived at dinner, everybody realized and looked past my tantrum, and they realized why my feelings were hurt, and that it was something that meant something to me personally. And the fact that I allowed them to have the space that they needed, they allowed me to have the space that I needed. At the end of it, they each apologized, and we ended up taking a great family photo that I think all of us were thankful that we took. But it was just a great picture of what family life is like, that there are times you're going to hurt each other, not intending to, but when you are committed to being a truth teller, and when you're committed to allowing your kids and your spouse to know that you are for them, all the things that we talked about the rest of the month will start to fall in place.
That's good. Hey, Lige, we have about 200 couples that, married couples that are a part of Mentor Us. Mom and I usually close by just praying for them. Would you mind praying for them right now?
Sure. Okay.
Just talk loud so they can hear your prayer.
And then you can imitate my laugh after you say amen.
Dear God!
All right, let's pray.
Dear God, I pray for all the couples that are watching this right now. If they have kids, I pray that they'll be able to connect with them on a deeper level, or than they already have. And that also, if they don't have kids, that they will watch this and be able to be prepared for what it's going to be like when they do have kids. Mm-hmm. And so, for all of us, just kind of let us be open with one another, with our families, and try to have a good relationship with our parents or with our kids. Because either way, there needs to be a relationship with the parents or the kids, whatever situation is going on. And so, I pray this for everyone out there that's watching this, in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
No.
You couldn't wait for him to say amen, could you?
No, it's
He just did it right after I said it.
And with that, we out.